I'll begin now with my story. To tell you about my story, first I have to tell you about my son, my little son Carl. Because without telling you about Carl, the story cannot go on. Carl was born a premature child. He was a 7-month child, and when he was born with a whole lot of problems. So in the hospital, we had to fight for his life and fight for his life and fight for his life. And then eventually, slowly, he became a little better, but he really had to fight for it. And then eventually he became okay. We took him home. In the home, of course, we had to keep nurses and doctors coming and going on all this until he started growing up. And he started growing up, and then as you see, the whole family, my whole family, was very much into sports and racing, and children used to take part in this all the time. So eventually Carl also grew up with a love for horses. He was a rider. All of us used to ride in the Gymkhana races, we used to win races, we used to have fun, we used to enjoy the whole thing, and he grew up in the same way. Then he grew up to be a teenager, he went to school, and of course he didn't concentrate on his studies because his thoughts were all the time about horses and riding. Eventually he passed his senior Cambridge, and eventually we gave him a license to ride, and to ride in the big races. That's what he wanted to race. So we made him join a stable. It was a stable, the Gokul Das stable, where they were all very kind to him because he was very small, he was only 17 years old. And he took part in everything. He started riding, and after the first month, he won his first race. He was over the moon, he was so happy after he won the race. After that, it became even more. He made a record because he won 5 races in one day. And as an apprentice boy, to win 5 races in one day was a record which stands even till to this day. Eventually, slowly, he started winning all the big races. He won 1,000 guineas, he won the Oaks, and eventually it went on to winning the Derby. The Derby day came and he was so excited, the whole family was excited. He went to the races, he won the Derby. And that was his dream, he won the Derby. And then he wanted to win the championship. The championship, I want to win the championship. And there was one jockey who was one behind him, who was fighting with him for the championship. So on the last day of the races, he said goodbye. He said, "Mom, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. And he went to the race course. And the whole family went to the races, aunts, uncles, cousins, old ladies, everybody came in the family because they wanted to see him ride. It was the first race of the day, only 3 horses were there in the race. And the race started, and then suddenly I heard, "Oh, Carl has fallen." And I put my binoculars up to see, and I saw him on the ground. I saw the horse fallen, I saw Carl fallen, but it didn't worry me so much because they were, while learning riding, they had fallen so many times, they had got up and everything went on as usual. But this time he didn't get up. So I started feeling nervous. And then eventually the ambulance came, they took him on the stretcher, they took him to the little dispensary round the corner, and I rushed to the dispensary, and when they took out his shirt, I saw there was a whole mark of a horse's hoof on his chest. It was a red, big mark on his chest, and that gave me a fright. And they took him on the stretcher, then they took him to Breach Candy Hospital, they put him in the ICU. He struggled and struggled and struggled in the ICU. He fought and fought for days. He was there for 18 days in the hospital. We sat outside. Crowds of people came from the racecourse to ask after him. They all stood at Breach Candy Hospital down. But everybody prayed for him, but he didn't get better. He didn't get better. And then one day, 18 days after all this happened, the doctor came out and said, I think Carl is going to get better today. Oh, we were so happy. I ran to the Athasperam to pray to God. My husband went to the Mount Mary Church because he used to go there. He went there to pray. We prayed and we came back. We came back to the hospital. The whole hospital was running up and down. I said, what's happened? What's happened? What's happened? He said, oh, Carl's artery has burst. And that was the end. Carl passed away that day, and a darkness fell on everyone. The whole racecourse was in mourning for him because even as a small child of 17, 18 years old, he had made history. And he was remembered by everybody because he used to be kind to everyone, even the small little boys. He used to give them 5 rupees and say, bet on me, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. I'm going to win, that was the words that came out of his mouth all the time. And now how was he going to win? I will show you what happened. What happened was our house looked out onto the racecourse. And from my bed, I could see the place where Carl fell. So the doors were closed, the windows were closed, and we sat like that in darkness. For 5 years we sat. Then one day, my husband was reading the newspaper, and I was, as usual, sitting and feeling sad for everything. And then he said, look, see what's there. It's written, they speak to their dead sons. So I took the paper from him and I read the paper. I said, how can this be? How can anyone speak to their dead sons? It's impossible. So I read it and I put it away. But then something inside me kept saying, look at it, you're missing out on something, you're missing out. So I took the paper and I read it again and again and again and again. I couldn't help myself. And then slowly, I made my way to that lady's house. I found her address. I drove my own car and I went to that lady and I knocked on the door and I went inside. Her name was Mrs. Bhavna Gray. She welcomed me and she said, sit down. So I said, I read in the papers about you and that your sons had passed away. She said, yes, my sons passed away. And I was in a seance and I was told about this automatic writing. And I started writing and I started communicating with them. And I said, you mean you can actually talk to them? She said, yes. I speak to them every day. I write the messages down. She said, would you like to talk to Carl? So I said, yes. So she said, sit down. She she took the table. The table was all with pictures and a lamp and everything. She lit a flame and she sat down to write. She sat down to write and this is the message that came. Mummy, my dearest Mummy, I love you so much more than you can imagine on earth. On earth, I never realized I loved you so much. Please, Mummy, forget the past. For now, I am very happy. I have worked very hard for these past few years to reach a high level. I want to guide you on earth, but only few can do so. Mummy, please do try. That was all. I then said, how? Is this Carl? Am I going to try? What's going to happen? And so she saw that I was very emotionally moved. So she said, sit down. She gave me a glass of water and she said, okay, now you go home and why don't you also try? Just try. So I said, okay, thank you very much. And I thanked her very much and I drove my car and my hands were shivering. I was shivering when I went home. I said, what have I done? Where have I come? What am I going to do? I went home and I sat down, and then the next day I waited and waited till my husband left the house. I said, let him go home, let him go. Then I took the book like she showed me. I took the pencil and I put my pen on paper and I sat. And slowly there was a dot, and then from the dot there came a little scratch. And the scratch, then scratch, suddenly my hand went round and round and round and round and round on the paper, strongly round and round and round. I got such a fright. I said, how did this happen? I put the pen down and I ran to the phone and I said, Mrs. Bhavnagri, I can write, I can write, I can write. She said, okay, very good, very good. Please try, please try, please try. So I started sitting every day and I started doing the writing. And slowly, slowly from, see, I will show you the patterns that came. There were some patterns came. These are the patterns that came. Okay, this happened, and then slowly, slowly, words began to come, and E's, O's, A's, letters started coming. From the letters, words started coming, and the first word that came was wherever. Wherever, 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 went on and on and on and on and on. Then the next word that came was mum. Mum, 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 mum. And the last word that came was whom. And then slowly, 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 the three words joined together and it came wherever, mum, whom. That gave me a very big fright because I remember the last words that Carl said before he passed away was, Mum, I want to go home. Mum, I want to go home. And I said, Carl, I promise I'll take you home. You just get well, I'll take you home. And that was the last thing. So wherever Mum was the first words that came in my writing. So I knew that it was Carl and it couldn't be anyone else. Then, of course, slowly, slowly, I went on to say, and then a new word came. The word that came was Meher. I said, Meher? Who's Meher? Is Meher my auntie or is there some relative? Who's Meher? I went back to Mrs. Bhavnagri and I asked her, can you tell me who is Meher? She said, no, I'm sorry, I can't tell you who's Meher. Why don't you go to, there's a lady called Mrs. Rishi who does the Ouija board, so why don't you go there and ask her? I said, okay, thank you, and I drove my car and I went off to Mrs. Rishi. She was living near Opera House, very difficult to park the car and everything. I climbed up some rickety steps and I knocked on her door. A little Maharashtrian lady who opened the door and she said, yeah, Atmadiya, Atmadiya. I went inside and she said, what can I do for you? I said, I want to connect with my son, Carl. Can you connect with my son? Can you please connect me? So she said, ha, basa, basa, basa. So then she took out a thing and a little round table. She put that little round table down and she said, put your hands on it. So I put my hands on the round table And slowly, slowly the round table started rocking this way and this way and this way and this way. And I said, oh my God, how is this happening? The table, he said, kuch nahi, aisa hota hai. And she put her hands on the table. Then she took out the Ouija board had some pointers, and she put her hand on it, and she said, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Please come. Who are you? And then slowly the pointer went to K, then A, then R, and L. And the name Karl came. I couldn't believe it that she had written the name. She didn't even know his name or anything like that. And she just wrote his name. So I said, Karl, what happened? So he said, Mom, I fell down. That was what came. Then I said that, yes, it is really Karl who is talking to me, because she would never have known that he fell down or anything. And I said, thank you very much, you know. And then I left and I went home. And then, of course, I didn't know what to do. So eventually I started to write to Karl every day I started to write to Karl. And slowly the word Meher came in his writing. From Meher Baba came, and Meher Baba came, and he said, go wherever he is. So I had to find out how to go and where to go. So I inquired from people and I said, who is Meher Baba? Who is Meher Baba? And I wrote a letter. I said, I wish to have an appointment with Meher Baba. Please tell me how I can come and where I can meet him, and how will I find the place. Please let me know. And I closed the envelope and I wrote Meher Baba, Ahmednagar on the envelope, and I posted it because I didn't know any address. So I just wrote Meher Baba, Ahmednagar, and I said, please, if it's supposed to go, please let the letter reach. The letter reached, and I got a message back to say that Meher Baba is not in physical body. He passed away long ago, but his samadhi is here, and you can come here and you can pray and you can be with him. You can come here. So I said, samadhi? What is a samadhi? I didn't know what is a samadhi. But anyway, I was so interested in the whole thing that I decided that I must find my way, and I must go to find my way to Meherabad. Now, of course, it was time to tell the family. So slowly, I broke the news to my family that this is what has happened. And this is, of course, my husband was most angry about the whole thing. His eyebrows went up and he said, certainly not going to get into all this, and certainly not. And of course, my son Neville was there, and my daughter-in-law Sabita. She was the only one who was in my favor. And then slowly, one day when Neville was going to Pune, Sabita impressed him and said, please take mommy, you can take mommy to Meherabad, please find it for her, please take her. So he said, okay, I'll take her once and we'll try. So we got into the car and we drove the car, and slowly we reached Pune, and from Pune we reached Ahmednagar. And on the road to Ahmednagar, on the way, there was a small board. It was written Meherabad. I said, oh, this is Meherabad. I was thinking it'll be like Shirdi Sai Baba, some big thing like that. I was thinking like that. I said, this is such a small little. We drove inside, and It was a beautiful little pilgrim center. We met a lady, her name was Dolly. And Dolly took us and she said, welcome, welcome. I am the receptionist and I will take you around. I will show you around. So she took me around and showed me the pilgrim center. Then she took me to where Meher Baba had his darshan hall. And she said, this is Meher Baba and this is the message Meher Baba gives to the world. And it was written on the top, don't worry, be happy. So I said, this is the message, that's all? So she said, yes, that's all. Now I'll take you up to the Samadhi. So slowly, there was a beautiful pathway and all, and we walked up the pathway and we came to a little sort of structure. And she said, now you can go inside. And I said, what can I say? She said, just stay, bend down, put your head on the Samadhi tomb and say, Meher Baba, you have called me, I have come. So I went, slowly went inside the Samadhi. I put my head on the Samadhi and I said, dear Meher Baba, you've called me and I've come. And you won't believe that certain peace came over me. And that horrible feeling that I was carrying in my heart that I've lost Carl, I've lost Carl, I've lost Carl, that feeling just disappeared. I came out of the Samadhi feeling a different person. I came and I sat on the sofa and my son was sitting there. My son went inside, he came out, and then she said, now if you've been to the Samadhi, I'll take you to meet Mansari. So we went across the road and there was a little house and inside there was an old Parsi lady. Her name was Mansari and she was a devotee of Meher Baba. She also had a story to share. So she shared her story with us. She told us how she came to Baba. She welcomed us and all. Then Dolly said, come now, I'll take you to the trust office. You can meet Baba's sister and you can meet the rest of the people. So she took us to the trust office and there we met Baba's sister and she said, ma'am, how did you come? So I told her my whole story. And she said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Roshan, Meru, this one, that one, that one, that one. She called a whole lot of ladies. A whole lot of ladies came crowding and sitting down. And she said, you share the story, share the story. So obviously they had never heard anything like this before. So they all sat down and heard the story and they said, bless you, bless you, bless you. Hope you'll be very happy and all. And eventually we found our way home. We found our way home and Jimmy was waiting at the door in a as usual face. And Neville said, no, Daddy, it was beautiful, it was lovely. And slowly Neville told them the whole story of how we reached and what happened. And so eventually it was like that. Then slowly I went to sleep in the night. And in the night, I got like a cramp in my hand and I thought that maybe I want to write something. So in my sleep and all, I took the pencil, paper and all, and I wrote something and I went back to sleep. In the morning I woke up and I said, Arey, I think I must have written something. So the paper was still in my hand. And I opened the paper and I had written, Meher Baba is very happy, Meher Baba is very happy, Meher Baba is very happy. The whole page was filled with Meher Baba is very happy. So I said, oh my God, Meher Baba is very happy that I've been there and now. So that was the whole thing. Then, next thing, slowly what happened when I was writing, slowly I found my husband looking into the book and walking away. And he'd look into the book and he would walk away. And then one day, slowly, he came and sat down next to me and he started looking into the book when I was writing. So Carl said to him, Daddy, please come to Mehrabad, please come this once, don't come again, please come this once, but just come. So, of course, we persuaded him, please go to Mehrabad, please go to Mehrabad, please go to Mehrabad with Mummy. So we started one trip to Mehrabad, Jimmy, Neville and myself. 3 of us, we went back again to Mehrabad. When we just before we went, and Carl gave a message to say, I am waiting for you, Mum. I am going to be there when you come and you will see me for sure. I promise you, and you will know it is me. You will see me clearly, for I will show myself to you, Mum. I will be near you. I am a man, a person who is living there by the name of Hammer. Yes, that is right, that's my name. I am not an Indian, I am a foreigner and I am living there just now. I am going to meet you there and say hello to you. Mum, you must not make a scene or cry out. I will come near you and sit down. You want proof of Meher Baba? I am giving it to you. I am fair and good looking. I will be wearing a red shirt and brown pants and no shoes on my feet. I am a foreigner between the age of 19 and 25 and my name is Hammer McLean. I am Baba's right-hand man. That was the message that Carl gave. And I took that message with me and we went to Mehrabad. We went to Mehrabad and we got out of the car. We went into the Pilgrim Center. Dolly was there and she showed my husband around the Pilgrim Center. And then she said, come now, we will go up to the Samadhi. So we went up to the Samadhi and as soon as we reached there, out of the Samadhi, I saw first 2 bare feet. And then from there I saw a brown pant. And then there was the whole red shirt. That red shirt struck me in the eye. And a boy came out of the Samadhi. He was fair, he was good looking. He was between the age of 19 and 25. He came out of the Samadhi, he came up to us and he gave us the prasad in our hands. We were petrified because the first thing I had seen was no shoes on his feet, brown pant, red shirt, young boy, fair and good looking. And he came up to us and gave us the prasad in our hand. And he sat down and we sat down near him and we all prayed. We prayed and he prayed with us and we prayed. And we prayed to Baba and I bent down and I said, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba. After that, Dolly said, come on now, we'll go and see Miss Mansari. So we got up to go to Mansari's house. And as we got up and all, we were walking, I told Neville, just go, please go and ask him what's your name, no? Please go and ask that boy what's his name. So Neville said, okay, Mum. Then he went and he asked the name and he came back and he said, his name is Patrick. So I was a little taken aback and I said, oh. And then we went into Mansari's house and there was a lady sitting there, a lovely lady, and she said, hello, hello. And she said, everyone has been talking so much about your story and everything like that. Everyone has been talking about your story. And I was just passing by and I was in Mehrabad for a little while and my stay was over. So I was just leaving this morning. I came to say bye-bye to Mansari and to thank her, because my husband had passed away, and because he had passed away, I had come to Mehrabad to say thank you to Baba, and I came to just bow down to my husband and go. So I came for that. So she's met us and we talked to her and everything, and then we said, okay, now we'll go to the trust office and we'll go to Mehrabad. So we went to the trust office and everything, and then when we were leaving from there, I said to them, I said, excuse me, do you have a Mrs. McLean, any McLean registered in your books? So the lady looked at the register and she said, yes, there was a lady who was leaving this morning. Her name was Mrs. McLean, but you must have missed her because she left in the morning. So I said, oh my goodness, there's nothing like that. She's gone away and I will never be able to ask her anything. So we got into the taxi and we were driving home when Neville said, Mummy, that lady we met at Mansari's house, do you think she could have been Mrs. McLean? She said she was leaving in the morning. I said, yes, maybe. I rushed home. I picked up the phone and I phoned to Dolly and I said, Dolly, please tell me what is the name of that lady we met at Mansari's house. So she said, her name is Mrs. McLean. Mrs. McLean, Carl's son. So I heard the thing, Carl's son. I said, oh my God, Mrs. McLean and Carl's son is coming there. So it has to be Mrs. McLean. So I will say at least the name has come, Carl's son has come, that Miss McLean name has come and all that, but lovely. So then we were happy with the whole thing and all. And then one day we went back to the Samadhi and Mrs. McLean was there. And she said, ma'am, I heard your whole story and I was thinking, you saw that little boy, but why didn't you ask him his name? So we said, his name was Patrick. She said, oh my God, my husband's name is Patrick. It was Patrick McLean Carlson. So the whole thing, all the names fell into place and my heart came to rest. So that was that, and we went home, a very happy family to say we had already seen Carl and that Carl was with Baba. And then I sat down to write and the message came and Carl said, when I first came here, Mom, I did not know what had happened. Meher Baba came to take me when I was struggling in pain and unhappiness. He looked after me, he healed my leg and my body that was so badly hurt. He is the kindest and most wonderful friend that a person can ever have. He is my Father in heaven. Deeply moved, I wanted to know more. I said, what do you do with Meher Baba? He said, I am his right-hand man. I am his right-hand man. I am a maker of his wishes. That is what Carl said. And that is what Carl is. That is what it is. He is, because after that I've written and written and written. I've gone on writing and I've met people and I've gone on to seeing so many people have come to me. So many people have taken the messages. So many people have heard the story, and I've been writing and writing, and I've been so blessed, and I've come now to tell you I've finished off my story, and that is where we stopped just now.